Hey, Frank. Frank, what are you doing? Frank. Did you guys see Frank? He's back. Well, anyway, since you're here, let's do our Bible. All right. So we had a lot of lessons. This is a big unit on 40 years in the desert. So I'm just going to do a pretty quick review of what we've gone over so far. Sorry. So Mrs. Shea's beautiful drawings of the tabernacle, the tent of God. And so in their journey, God had told Moses how to design God's tabernacle. So that's what the people did with all the different things: table of showbread, bronze basin, lampstand, altar of incense, Ark of the Covenant, which is the most important piece. And so the Israelites would be able to worship God at the tabernacle. So it was so important. And also the tabernacle would remind the people of God's presence. Okay? The Ark of the Covenant, it was the most significant object, and it symbolized God's leading. And the priests, remember, would carry it in front of the people as they traveled through the desert. And God's presence descended on the tabernacle in the form of a cloud. The cloud lifted from the tabernacle when God wanted the people to move. Awesome. Also, you guys talked about Israelite worship. God commanded the Israelites to worship him through different sacrifices. Some of those were grain offerings, fellowship offerings, burnt offerings, and those were to point ahead to the biggest offering, the biggest sacrifice of Jesus down the road, as we all know. All right. You guys had a lesson on Israel's feasts. The biggest thing, most important thing for that, I believe, is that God wanted them to make sure that when they went to worship him, that they had respect for him and his holiness. Okay? And also that we today still are to live holy lives that are pleasing to God, and that is worship to him. Okay? And have our hearts in the right place when we do worship him. Okay? A common theme throughout the desert was all of their complaining, and the people just continued and continued to complain. And one of the things that they complained about was all the manna that they had to eat. So God provided them with, the answer, quail. And one of the things that happened because of their complaining, yes, he gave them the quail, but they ate it so fast and so much that they got sick. And that was kind of a consequence of their complaining. Okay. Then we moved on to where the Israelites are near the land of Canaan. And so Moses sends out 12 people, a man from each tribe, to go and spy on the land and see what it's like and see what the people are like that live there. So the spies came back with a message that the people that live there were big and scary, and that they should not go there or not try and fight against those people. Okay, and so the spies discouraged the people, the Israelites, and the Israelites were mad at Moses, and it was a big uprising. However, there was a man named Caleb who believed, he was one of the spies, and he was like, hey, God can take care of us. The land is awesome, flowing with milk and honey. So he was one that is going to get to enter the Holy Land later. So the people that were all upset with Moses about, we've traveled, we finally got here, and now look at this, that we can't even go in to the Holy Land. So God gives them a consequence for that, in that because they're not trusting him, they are going to have to not enter the Holy Land for 40 years. So maybe their kids would get to, but they wouldn't. And if you think about all of their complaining and all of the times that God has come through for them and shown them great miracles, they still complain. And I think about us, how we can be like that as well, where God has been faithful to us and helped us, but we still complain or don't trust him. So good lesson for us to learn. Okay. So you can imagine the people are kind of angry with Moses still at this, that they don't get to go into the Holy Land, and they've kind of had bad attitudes and not following God's laws. So there are three men that are Levites. If you remember, the Levites are kind of the special tribe that they get to carry the Ark of the Covenant. There are priests within the Levite tribe, and they get to enter the tabernacle and do some more holy things. And so there's a group of three men. Kind of their leader, the ringleader, is Korah. And there's Dathan and Abiram. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm not sure. And they are Levites, but they're not priests. So they're kind of jealous of Moses, and they're mad because they think that Moses thinks he's all that and too holy, and they're like, hey, we can be as good as Moses. What? Just because, like, Moses thinks he's all close to God. Well, so they disrespected God and Moses in this situation. Okay, so this is kind of our focus for the lesson today. And so I'm just going to read through the summary of how this story went because it's very interesting. There's a visual here which will come into effect. You'll probably figure out what that is once I start reading because it's amazing. All right, so I already talked about these men, their attitudes, what they think of Moses and Aaron, and they also got 250 men together to bring incense burners to the front of the tabernacle, and all of Israel assembled to see what God had decided. Like, is God going to go with Moses and Aaron, or is God going to be on these guys' side? Okay. So they're all there, meeting around the tabernacle. Moses warned others to move a safe distance from the rebels, from these guys, because he had gotten a message from God. And then Moses goes on to tell the people that if Korah, Dathan, and Abiram died ordinary deaths, it would show that God was not with Moses. But if something totally new and different and strange happened, it would show that Moses was not at fault. Okay, so what's it going to be? And so here's what happens. The earth opened up and swallowed Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, and fire came and burned up all of their followers. This is not an ordinary death, right? For the earth to open up and swallow these men and their possessions. So it goes to show that they were in the wrong, and Moses and Aaron were in the right, that they were followers of God, and God had them exactly where they wanted them. The next day, all of the Israelites accused Moses and Aaron of killing the Lord's people. So God shows his anger by sending a plague to the people because they're still not respecting Moses and not trusting in God and just angry. But Aaron hurries to God and offers an atonement, I think like a sacrifice, and prays to God and asks him to not hurt all of the people. And so they did not all die, all right, from the plague. So Aaron had saved the day for at least some of them. Okay? So the last thing for Bible this week, and this is going to be more on you. You probably saw in your folders this piece of paper here. And so you'll just look in your Bibles for filling in the blanks to those. I'm fine if you don't want to do the word find. You can if you want to. As long as you look up those verses, or you might remember what I talked about and be able to fill them in. Okay? On the back of that sheet is this that says miserable manna. And this is talking, you get to just make up like what a response would be. So read through the directions. It's kind of fun, but make it realistic as well as to these people, the person's attitude and how you probably would address it from God's point of view, maybe, or from someone that's following God. Okay, so this is what you have to do for Bible this week. Also, I don't know if you can see it. Also, reading Numbers 17, Numbers chapter 17, which is a story about Aaron's rod and how it buds, and it shows the other priests that he's the leader. Okay, don't be jealous. And then 20, Numbers 20, which has some little different stories inside of that one. And one of them is Moses hitting the rock to get water, but this is the second time that happens. We already read about that happening earlier in the desert. So this is a second time that happens, but it kind of is, it's different in that Moses is kind of upset with the people and all they're complaining, like, do I have to do this again to show you? Sheesh, you guys, didn't you learn the first time? So anyways, that's what you guys need to read, number 17 and 20. I hope that you guys are spending some time in prayer with God each day and in the Bible. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. And I'm going to go figure out where Frank is because I haven't seen him. But my lunch bag is moving over there. Okay, bye.